Hello, it's Dawn Michelle from Boho Tarot, and welcome to this quick flip through of my tarot journal. So today we'll be looking at the spreads that I did in April. So we'll just quick flip to the pages, and you can see here is my April monthly spread. Now this is a journal that I kind of intended it to be more of a generic daily planner bullet journal, but that's not really what it's ended up being. It is ended up being primarily my tarot journal. So all of the spreads in here are tarot related. I do have a separate planning journal that I'm using that is a bit less decorative and a bit more functional. So this one I'm just letting it become my tarot journal. If you want to see the setup on this journal, the first few pages, you can check out the hitting the reset button video, and I'll link that below. But here you can see I just have my kind of April inspiration. I have my little calendar which lists the moon phases and which astrological aspect they're in. I have a new moon intention which I write on the new moon, a list of the decks that I've used, my card of the month, a little bit about that. I have my study deck listed, which was the Moonchild's, just some extra little pictures. And then at the end of the month, I write my monthly reflections, which is just kind of a look at, what happened that month. So let's go ahead and flip through. So this is my first week's daily draws. So as you'll see as we go through this book, my daily draws, how I put them in my journal is not set in stone. It kind of goes with the flow of how I'm feeling that week and kind of how I feel like it works with the decks. So the decks I used were the Line Strider and the Botanical Inspirations, and you can find out more about these decks in my April reflections video, and I talk about working with these decks and specifically talk about working with them together. So for this one, I just wrote the day. I did a little message from the tarot and then a message from the card, and then later at the end of the day, I went back and did my reflection for the day. And that is how I did this week clear through Saturday. I do not have Sundays in here because Sundays are in my Self-Care Sunday journal, which I'll show you when we get done flipping through this one. So here we have my new moon in Aries spread, which I did on Friday, April 5th. And this is one of Ethony's, I think it's from her Tarot by the Moon, I believe it's called. And it's just a free PDF that you can get on our website. And all of the new moon and full moon spreads that I do tend to be Ethony's. So I'll try to remember to link that below as well. And it's just a free download that you can grab. So I just print out my spread and do my little reflections. And I have a little bit about the new moon in Aries, which just is a little write-up that I did. Next I have second week, and you can see here I did a little pocket. And I have a little sheet which lists the decks I used, which was the Paulina and the Hedgewitch Botanical. Again, I talk about these decks in my April reflections, and of course now it doesn't want to go back in there. Okay, we'll just leave that. So again, same pretty much format. I only did through Friday on this page, and then I did a weekly reflection instead because I knew I wasn't going to be home on Saturday. So here we have the next week, and I have my list of my decks I used, which was the Victorian Romantic and the Mystical Moments. I did all 5 days, Monday through Friday, again here, and then I did another weekly reflection, and then I noted that this was the last week that our German student was here with us. So as you can see, this was a very busy week, so I didn't have a ton of time. I didn't go back and do daily reflections. I just did one overall weekly reflection. Then I have my full moon in Libra spread, again another Ethony spread, which I did Friday, April 19th. I have a little bit about the full pink moon, reflection on my reading here, and just my list of the cards and the reading I did, which I used the Art of Love Tarot. And next we have the last full week of April, and I have again just the cards I drew by day, only did through Friday, and did the weekly reflection. This is kind of the layout I've been moving towards, as you can tell, and I've listed that I used the Hughes Tarot and the Illuminated Earth this week, and I just have a little picture here to fill the blank space, so it makes a nice layout. So here I have just kind of an add-in spread that I did. This is a spread that I did, which I started listing my favorite card pairings because, as you can tell, I have been playing with different card spreads or tarot and oracle combinations. So I started listing the ones that I thought went really well together. So far, I've got the Paulina and the Hedge Witch Botanical and the Victorian Romantic and the Mystical Moments. So I just did this as a fold out so that as this list grows, I can add to it and make more pages within the fold out. So, and that's just there to hold it down, but it does have a little tab so that you can lift it up. So, and this is just purely decorative, and I left this tab up here, the string hanging out from this little tag, so that I could easily flip to this page when I go to the book. It's just kind of like a page marker so that I know that this is where my listing for my favorite deck pairings are. This was a check-in spread that I did, and this is just my favorite check-in spread that is pretty much my standard that I always do. I'm thinking that I might start doing this every Saturday if I have time. But just so that you know, I did post this on Instagram, but just to give you a quick overview. So this is check in with your body, check in with your heart, check in with your mind, check in with your soul, what you're leaving behind and what you're moving towards. This is just my standard basic check-in spread. It's one of my favorites to do. It's just something that I created myself. And I highly recommend it just for, it makes for a great weekly check-in. And so my goal is to start doing it every week if I can and if I have time. So I thought I'd just show you here real quick because everybody thinks my journal ends up like perfect the first time around. I thought I'd show you how it actually starts, how these spreads actually come into being. So here I've done one of my just check-in spreads that I do, and so you can see I have my cards laid out here, and this is the page that it will be going on. But let me just show you, this is how it starts. Just kind of a mess of quick writing and scribbles and my reflections of the cards, and I will take a picture of this, print it out, and it will get moved into my journal, and all that writing will get transferred. And here, just so you can see what a mess I make when I do this, here's all the decks that I used for that particular spread, and you can see that it's just kind of a big mess. So just for those of you who've been like, I could never make a journal that looks like yours, you can, because this is how it starts out. And it doesn't end up looking, whoops, as I'm moving my cards, it doesn't end up looking like this until after I've put all the information together, and then I transfer it into my journal and I make it look pretty. For those of you who said, you know, you would never be able to do it, I just wanted to show you that you can. It doesn't have to start off, you know, beautifully laid out. This is how my layouts start. It starts with messy journaling on plain old notebook paper, the spreads or whatever I'm working on, and then it gets transferred into this after the fact. So I just wanted to point that out and show that to everybody so that you can see you can take all of this and you can create your own beautiful journal too. It just takes a little bit of time and effort. So I just wanted to pop in real quick and show you that. And then here we have moving into May. So this is my May layout, which again, we'll see when I do my May video, but again, I just have the start of it. So I have the Sabbats listed. I did a little bit of a different kind of journaling in May. I added some notations to my calendar. So again, I have the new moon and the full moon and which astrological aspects, and I have Mother's Day listed, and I also have a little candle and a cake for my birthday because my birthday is in May. Here you see I have the space listed for my new moon intention, and this I will fill out on the new moon. And I have space, I'll have space down here for my monthly reflection as well. I did not include my card of the month yet. I'm not sure if I will. If I have space, I will. If not, I'm not worried about it. And I did a little different kind of fold out here for the decks I'm going to use this month. And just did a little booklet fold out. And unlike previous months where I wrote down the decks I was intending to use, I've decided to just leave this blank and come back and fill out with the decks that I actually used, because sometimes the decks I intend to use don't get used because I'm not feeling it that week or that month. So that is my April pages. and the setup for my May page. And I will be doing this same video again at the end of May so you can see my different pages. And yeah, if you want to see the whole book and how it was set up, like I said, check out my Hitting the Reset button. You can kind of see some of these past pages and how I set those up. So now we're going to move on and check out my Self-Care Sunday journal because I do all of those in a separate notebook. So here we have my Self-Care Sunday notebook, and I don't know if I've shown this before, so I'll just do a real quick flip through for it. This was just a pullout I did from a magazine. I added some pages in it, just kind of to recover it. This was an article that I'd found in a magazine that I thought was really interesting and really applied to my process for Self-Care Sunday, so I added this in. This page I think is really thick. And this is just a card. This is from the Victorian Romantic. I just thought this was a beautiful card, and I did a little write-up on it, added some detail, and then I go into my self-care spreads. So we'll flip to April. So this was March. So here we go. I have my April spreads here, and this was Sunday, April 7th, which is How Can I Let My Inner Light Shine? And then I have my write-up and my list of cards. I don't do printouts of my card pulls in this journal. It's just, I like to have all the extra bits rather than filling it up with cards because I have so many cards, pictures of cards in my tarot journal. This was my pull from the Universe Has Your Back, and I used the Moonchild for this one. So we have April 14th. We have How Can I Quiet My Inner Critic, and my cards and my write-up, and the cards were pulled from the Paulina, and I used the Hedge Witch Botanical, which my card was Juniper with the keyword of Invigorate. Then I had April 21st, which is How I Can Connect with My Core Beliefs, my cards from the Guardian Angel, and my card from the Botanical Inspirations. And my last Sunday, Self-Care Sunday spread in April, which was April 28th, was How Can I Make Space for My Authentic Self? My card pulls, my write-up, and again, my message. This was from the Hedge Witch Botanical, and my cards were from the Art of Love Tarot. So this is just something I do every Sunday. If you would like to do these same Self-Care Sunday spreads, I do post them every Sunday on my Instagram, and there is a link to that below. And then you can do your Sunday spreads and journal about them, or just, do your polls and post them on Instagram, or however it works into your practice. So that's just kind of a quick look at the Self-Care Sunday spreads I did all throughout April. So thank you for joining me for this quick look at my journal April pages. I will be doing the same in May. I would love to hear about the journaling that you have done in April, or the journaling that you will be doing moving forward into May. So feel free to share that in the comments below. And of course, if you do any sort of journaling like this and you have a video, please let me know so I can come and take a look. So again, thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again soon for more creative tarot for an inspired life.